Hello YouTube, it's Chris, and hey, today's a pretty exciting day. I finally received my Hansshow steering wheel screen, which I've been waiting on. I ordered this quite a while ago with the 25% discount for their pre-orders. And it arrived the other day. I've been waiting to install it because it's an early unit. It didn't come with any instructions, but I was able to find a video on YouTube. I didn't actually understand the video. It was all in French and I don't speak French. But anyway, I followed along and the installation looks pretty simple. So I'm going to attempt to do it. And I thought I'd get started today, pulling off the cover and just having a look at the screen. I'll pull it out and and show you what the screen looks like. But anyway, pretty exciting. So wish me luck. So this is what arrived. This is what we're talking about, the Model Y and Model 3 steering wheel screen. So this is an additional display that mounts behind your steering wheel and brings some of the information that's on your center console into your direct line of sight. As well, it's going to connect to iOS and Android devices and provide more information that isn't on your Tesla screen. So I think they're adding features to it all the time because it's software upgradable over the air. And so that's exciting. And yeah, let me show you. So here it is. I just pulled it out of the box. I don't want to drop it, so I'll show you more inside the car. But yeah, basically the design is very similar to the Tesla screen. You can see it's wider than the Tesla screen and it mounts onto the dashboard. But I think aesthetically they tried as best they could to make it look very similar to the screen that's already there and then fit it in such a way that you could read it between the steering wheel, right? Between the opening in the steering wheel. And we look inside the box. Here's the wiring harness. And you can see, like all the Hansshow products that I've ever gotten, it's all been taped with fabric tape so that when you lay the wiring in the car and if it hits against something, it doesn't create any noise. So we're always concerned about that. I've bought some additional Tesla tape that I'll tape together all these connectors and over this fuse to make sure that, you know, this wiring harness is going to lay inside the cavity, be underneath the wood trim piece going along your dashboard. So I would hate to think that as you drove, it would make noise. So we'll tape it up and we will secure it to make sure that it doesn't create any noise inside the car. Yeah. Oh, also, this is the version 2 of this unit. So it also includes a GPS module as well that we're going to install. So I've seen some installations. Here's the mounting bracket. I wondered if this mounting bracket was metal or not. It's not. It's plastic, which I think is actually better than metal because it's plastic mounting to other plastic and not metal. But it looked like metal on the when I originally saw it. So yeah, let's get this. Let's get the cover. So we're talking about that wood cover here. Well, let's take that off and then do a dry fit and see what it looks like. So I've just taken this out of the box to see what it looks like in there. It's going to look something like that. And the reason I did this is I wanted to see what it looks like when you're sitting, if you can actually see it. And yeah, it's kind of that angle, I guess, would be my vision. So yeah, it looks like it's placed perfectly to read from my sitting position. Let me show you what it looks like from the front. So it's not obviously sitting the way it would normally. But because you can see the wires all hanging out of it right now. But that's what it looks like. So the back is the same gray color as the other screen, but it's definitely wider. It's got a speaker. I don't know what that speaker does yet. It's also got a USB cable on it. So usually when you start installations, one of the first things you do is remove power to the car. Just because you're working with electronics, you want to make sure that, that there's no power live in the car. But you know what? This first part is actually just removing a bunch of trim panels. There's no electronics up here. So I'm going to turn the car off later. Because if I sit in the seat or if I press the pedal, the power is going to come back on anyway. So you know what? I'm just going to start removing these panels. And the way you start is this panel needs to come off, and then this little piece of trim comes off. So one, then two on each side, and then this larger wood panel and this piece here completely come off. And then we can go ahead and mount our display onto that panel. I've got some panel gap tools, so this helps make the installation go a little bit smoother as you try to pull these off. You don't want to mar up your plastics. So let me try to pull this panel off and see how well that goes, and I'll be right back with you. Yeah, so that's pretty easy. Just start down here, pull out, and then you can see it's just a few connectors. So that comes out, and then this one has to come off as well. Let me try to figure that out. You take this one off, and then that allows this whole panel to go nice and easily. I've seen people roughhouse this out, but I think this panel just slides up or something. So let me look at that. Yeah, that one just pulls straight out this way. So it's got two clasps on it. And then that, so there you go. So that's everything that's holding. Now this should just be able to be loose in here. So I'm going to take the other side out. Okay, that worked out really well. So now it should just be a matter of just pushing this up, and it should come straight off. So let me try that. Okay, success. That came off easily. Once you move those clips, it just comes off, no problem. So now we're going to mount, the screen goes right here, and we're going to count in from the end how many holes, and then it sits down. That's how it mounts. It mounts to, you don't have to drill any holes or anything like this. It's going to slide down into here, and that's how it mounts on from the bottom. So we'll do that. What I'm going to do also is, just while this is off, all the cabling harness is going to sit in this tray. So I'm just going to get a cloth with some methyl hydrate and just clean this all in here, so that I'm going to use some Velcro to stick down the wiring harness, and I want it to stick really well to this. So I might as well do that now while this is all exposed. Okay, so I think I've got this right. The video I'm watching says that you are counting 22 spaces before your first wire goes through. So I've counted them out, starting from this one right there, which is the first full space. There is one here that's kind of a side space. So the first full space, I've counted 22 over, and I've got that. Skip 2 because there's no wires there. Here, and then we're going to mount it from the bottom. So I think I've got this. What I'm going to do is I plan on just putting it on, and then we'll test fit it back in the car to make sure it lines up the way we think it's supposed to be. Thanks. Okay, so there's the mount installed now, and you can see it mounts down onto the frame. And then you've got some very small screws here and washers. So I've got a little bit of blue as well. So I'm going to put some Loctite on there just to, I don't know, make sure it stays secure. And then we'll put it back in the car and see what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, and there is the mount. So we're on now. And yeah, let's go put it back in the car. Maybe it'll be easier to see. Okay, so as you can see, I did something wrong there, didn't I? Probably what they meant is that it's 22 over from the first hole that goes all the way through, not just the one. So I'm gonna have to take this back off and do it again. Okay, I think I've got it mounted correctly now. I think the secret there is to count the holes from the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then 21, 22 for your first wire. So that makes sense. If you count from the top like I did, there's a number of them that don't actually go through. So you're the wrong way. Now let's put it in the car and see if it works. You probably can't tell, but I'm still not happy with this placement. To me, where I'm sitting, it looks like it should be over a little bit further this way. Yeah, like maybe 1 or 2 spaces. You can't tell. You can't tell, but I can tell from where I am. Okay, you guys probably can't tell the difference, but I moved it over 2 more, so I'm at 22 spaces, and then 24 for my first wire. 24 to my first wire, and that seems to be perfect for my seating position. Okay, the next thing I want to do is run the harness, because I want to run the harness along the dashboard, and then it actually comes down and goes down into this little cavity here. And this is, I believe, too thick to run down into the cavity, so I'm going to want to run a fish tape and then pull these up through the cavity. So in order to do that, I'm going to take off, just remove the push pins and take off the panel. And then that'll give us access to pull the fish tape down, and also give us access to the onboard computer that we're going to need to connect the harness to. Okay, so let me do that. So pretty funny, my phone is dying, so I actually had to find an extension cord. Anyway, you can see what's going on here. I've got the dashboard just propped up, and what I ended up doing was I took off the little trim panel that's here. And that allowed me to gain access to the cavity, which goes right behind here. So this is where the wiring mount will go. And all I did was I just found a little piece of cable and just used it as a fish tape so I can pull this up. So now this pulls up nice and easy, and we're going to be able to run it along here. My plan with this is to, I've seen guys just use like tape or something, but I've got little Velcro pads, and I think I can Velcro pad it along nicely. And the other part is that they now include, with the version 2 of this software, this GPS, which I believe goes in here when you're done. And this cable obviously has to be tied as well into this harness. So I've got some Tessa tape. I bought some Tessa tape off Amazon, and I'm going to Tessa tape that to the wiring harness so it's all one unit. So let me get this harness pulled up, and then I can do some more recording. All right, let's start connecting the wires. And one thing you're going to notice right away is that there's 4 wires coming out of this unit. And this kind of stumped me. There's a power, a ground, and then communications as well. So green on mine, it's green, green, black, and red. Then there's a 4th wire off here by itself. This is a blue wire, and I didn't know what this was for because the harness doesn't have that wire coming out of the harness. This is for an auxiliary camera that attaches to your license plate, and they didn't send it in the package. It's probably an accessory that I have to purchase. I'm hoping that what it does is maybe give you that bird's eye camera that we're missing on the Model 3. That would be great. So I will reach out to Hansshow and find out what that camera is, how much it costs, and then maybe I can come back under here and hook it up. This is the connection for the GPS, which is that cable that I have to connect up. And one thing I noticed on this is it just, all it does is press together. It doesn't thread, which when you look at it, you think it's supposed to thread in, but it's not. It just presses together. So all of these cables, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect them, and then I'm going to tape them up with just a little bit of electrical tape. And then I'll tape all of them up together in the harness. Oh, sorry. Connect them all up in the harness with Tessa tape. So let me, and Tessa tape, I keep using that term. Tessa tape is just fabric tape. And again, the idea is so that, you know, these things don't, when you're done, you know, rattle around and bang on plastic on plastic when you're going over bumps and things. You don't want any noise created in your car from your work. So we always want to try to seal it up as best we can. So let me try to do that. Okay, so I can show you this hopefully. So these are just color matched, red to red, black to black, green to green. And there is on each cable, hopefully you can see that, there's a little arrow. So you just line the arrows up on each cap and then they fit together, no problem. And then I'm going to run tape around them. Okay, this is what I ended up doing. I just continued the wiring harness right up to the top, and the green wire on my harness was shorter than the red and black, so I had to create a small loop. So there will be a little bit of cable just there as it connects in. Then I took the blue cable and I just taped it to the harness here so it doesn't rattle around in the car. And now what I'm going to do is just wire the rest of the GPS harness to the other harness, continue it onto the other side of the car, and then we should be good. So let me try that. Okay, so I think this is starting to look really good now. This will just go up here. I've put down some Velcro. So I'll clean this before we put the Velcro down. So this is going to stay really nice. And then Velcro behind here. And here and here and here, and then that cable seems to just go really nice down at the bottom. So thought I'd show you that before I just flip this down. So to this point right now, I haven't done any electronics whatsoever. So what I'll do now is flip this down, and then I'll turn the screen off by going into the safety and security and powering off. So that should shut the car down. We should hear it shut down. I'm going to get out of this seat, and then we'll be able to get to the harness on the bottom. Okay, so it's down now. You can see the new, everything's fitting really well. This comes down here. There is room for it to poke down, and then this will go behind here, and that'll be that. Nice and easy. That looks good, and it's not going to move around in there. With the GPS, what I did is I am going to mount it here like that. It's double face tape, and then I pulled through the remainder of the cable, and I'll tie that up underneath the panel. So I've already taken this panel off. I am going to just take off the speaker lead and the light lead so I can get the panel out of the way, and that's going to give me access up into the computer so that we can go ahead and connect. I'll show you that once we get that up. So here's the cable that we have to deal with. And again, this is Hansshow type cabling is, you know, non-destructive. So this stuff can be removed. It's always like a plug and play. And so we're going to plug this terminal into the computer, and then we're going to plug their connector into this, so that's in line. So this is way up there. It's going to be really hard for me to show you guys. It's a gray plug. It's on the top of the computer. But what's because we can see this one, you can see that there's a release right here, and that's how we're going to unclip. Because I'm probably going to have to do it by feel. Plug this in, pull it straight out. Plug this Hansshow one in, and then connect theirs there. So let me see. I'll turn the light on. I'll try to put a light on it, but you may not be able to see it. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Oh. That one right there. It's way up there. This is the one we did before. That's the one for the speaker system for the audio upgrade. That's the audio component. But the plug above it right there, hopefully you can see that, is the one we need to take out. So I'm going to try to fish my hands up there. So as I do this installation, we're about ready to get into the electronics underneath the car. And, you know, this is where you want to start to be careful. 12 volts isn't going to hurt you, but it could hurt the electronics in the car. So you want to be sure. Now I have turned the screen off in the car, but I can still hear it doing things. So what What I think what I'm going to do with this one is disconnect the power to the car completely. And I'm not sure if I mean, it's on the internet on how to do that, but I can show you really quick as we go. Because I noticed even with the car off, I can still see the light on the controller here. So yeah, let's turn the power off. I think it's better. You see the red light still on there. So how can they say the power is off in the car if there's still power being supplied to the car? So we're going to shut it right off. So first thing to shut the power off in the car is just to remove the negative lead to the 12 volt accessory battery. So it's a 12 volt battery, and I've done this before. You would think removing 12 volts from the car would actually turn the power off. It doesn't, because the high output battery will still supply the car with 12 volts even if this battery's disconnected. So you have to do two things. So the first thing is just disconnect this battery, and that'll get rid of accessory 12 volts. So let's do that. It's a 10 mil. We're just going to loosen this off and just pull the wire off. I'm going to put the phone down to do that. Okay, there you go. So power has been disconnected to the battery. The car is still running. Car is still running. Here's the other 12 volt source for the car is in the back seat, the high output battery. This is the supply. So if we click this down and then wiggle this out, I don't know if I can do it with one hand. There we go. Now it should come. Okay. There we go. So now the car is completely out. That scared me when it went pop, but now we have no power in the car. So nothing works, doors won't work, the car's silent, and let's get on with our electronics. Okay, I've had some success. Everything is working, which is great. I'm just putting back together some of the paneling. There's my GPS. There's the cable. Sorry. There's the cable that comes out of the dashboard, goes down behind here and goes in. And there's the GPS unit. The toughest part about this install, obviously, and it was tough, don't get me wrong, is connecting up the cabling to the OBD port up underneath the dash. There may be a better way to do it with removing some more paneling, but boy, I struggled, I don't know how long, for quite a while. There's nothing in the instructions. Hansshow did send me some instructions to say, connected, but they didn't say how to be successful. So anyway, I'll do some follow-up on that and maybe have some insight. But right now, it's late. I'm just going to button all this stuff back over, and then I'm going to see if I can figure out how to program, because you can see the car is white right now. I want my car to be gray. And anyway, I'll chat within a second.